guys, it's Jenna. Welcome back to my channel today. In today's video, I'm going to be doing my top 3 most favorite of all time makeup products per category. I actually got this video idea from Julia Adams, who is a makeup artist and has her own channel here on YouTube. Then I saw Jamie Page upload hers, and hers was just as awesome to watch, so I figured that I would do my own take on this really awesome video idea. I also asked my friend Mel Thompson to join me in doing this top 3 makeup favorites per category because she is one of my great friends and I also am super curious what her favorites are. My wallet is not ready, but I am definitely ready to know. If you don't know who Mel is, she is also a beauty YouTuber and she is amazing. She has the kindest heart I have ever met. She's so talented when it comes to applying makeup. I've learned so much from her just watching her videos, and she is someone that I admire so much that this I thought was the perfect video to team together and pick our top 3 picks of all time. So let's get right on into it and talk about the first category. The first category that I'm going to talk about is actually brow products. The brow category was pretty easy for me because I really only have 2 favorites, and even though this video is top 3, I didn't want to add one that I just was not super pumped about. So there are a couple categories where I've just limited it to 2 because that's truly what I use all the time, and why add a third one if there's no need? The 2 brow products I actually use together. They're both from Benefit, and Benefit is actually known for brow products. So the first one that I use all the time, if you guys see my description box, I always link the makeup that I am using. This is one that I love. This is the Gimme Brow Gel product that has a little bit of a tint to it. And this is one that I use that is super easy. All I have to do is use the little spoolie and I just brush my hairs upward, and because there's a gel to it, it does actually adhere a little bit. So just so you guys know, you don't need a brow gel with it, but I like to just solidify things, so I put a touch of brow gel at the end. There are quite a few shades of this, and I really love the small spoolie that it comes with, so you can just have the most control. Now my brows are not super big, they're not super wide, and I've always had brow trouble. I'm gonna be totally honest. So filling my brows in, I overplucked. I was very guilty of doing that when I was younger, and they were just a mess. So I did get microblading done, and that helped immensely because now I just have a bit of an outline to fill in the brow with very easily. So microblading isn't for everyone, I know that, but I'm really in love with the artist that I've used. She doesn't scar my skin or anything. It's not super deep, so I do have to get some updating every now and then, but I have been loving it. So Gimme Brow is amazing for that. The second product that I love in the brow category is the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter. The reason why I picked this one over the very close third, which is Anastasia's Brow Gel, is because this is one that has a spoolie that actually has 2 separate sizes. There's a longer bristled side and a short bristled side. So this allows me to have some versatility with applying this to my brow because I just use the long one for my longer hairs, and then as I get closer to the tail, I just can use the other side. I also think that this one gives me a little bit more flexibility than the Anastasia. The Anastasia one is still excellent, but I do think that it gets kind of the crusty look a little faster. And by that, I just mean the overly done look where you can tell your eyebrow hairs are just so rock hard. This Benefit one to me just gives me a bit more flexibility. It's not super crusty as fast. So I like this one a smidgen more, but the Anastasia one is still a good option. All right guys, the next category is eyeliner. So this is pretty easy for me as well. I do have 2 black liquid liners that are my holy grails right now anyways. My top favorite products do tend to change over time, but this is a eyeliner that I have worn for so long now. And if you do know me, you probably know what's coming. This is the Stila liquid liner. My favorite. I really love using a black liquid liner on the top lid. It's just something that I've been very used to using, and when I do wear my eye makeup, I almost feel like something is missing when I don't have it on. It's definitely a goal of mine to experiment without using it, but I've been really happy with this one because it doesn't bleed, it doesn't dry out super fast, it doesn't smear. I hate when liquid liners transfer, and this one does not do that, so that is awesome. I love that it's got a really, really nice fine tip pen, so it has enough flexibility to it that it's not super, super stiff, but it's not super flimsy either, where it's sliding all over the place. You can do a really, really nice straight line, and it's absolutely perfect. I know that there are other colors in this as well, but I love the black one. So the black is definitely number one, that's for sure. If I'm out of my Stila, but I do still want a really opaque black, something that's not going to move, I have found that the Benefit Roller Liner is actually a really great one also. So in my personal opinion, the Roller Liner is a tad stiffer than the Stila one. Now this is a mini, so it's actually a little bit longer in reality. I do find that this tip is a little bit more stiff, but not so bad that you don't have complete control and you can glide over your lid. I will say the only difference between the two of them is that I do find the Stila tip is a touch more flexible. Other than that, they're both very, very opaque, budge proof, you know, transfer proof, which I love. And I do think the Stila one may last a little bit longer, but we're really splitting hairs here. Both of them are great options. The last eyeliner in the top three is actually this one from Charlotte Tilbury, which really surprised me. It's certainly not like a black liquid tipped type eyeliner that I'm used to. This is a double-ended eyeliner type product that has the champagne-y gold on one end and kind of like a kohl eyeliner on the other. So it is much more solid versus the other ones I mentioned that really are like opaque black ink. This is one that is much more stiff, almost like a traditional eyeliner pencil, except it does have quite a bit of give to it. You can smudge it out with a brush if you want, or you could put it underneath the bottom lid as well. So this is a really, really nice one, and I'm going to show you guys zoomed in here what this looks like. You can see it has two ends just like that. The gold is stunning and the black is perfect as well. Very nice and opaque, which is what I'm looking for. So this is perfect. Here we have both of the liners here. I'm not sure if this particular pencil is still available, but it is from Charlotte Tilbury. It's called the Hollywood Exagger-Eyes Liner Duo. Super, super pretty. Next, I have to talk about mascara. Mascara is also a fairly easy one, although there's quite a few really good ones on the market, and I've honestly been really lucky to get to test out so many for you guys. I have to pick this one for sure for my top three because this is the Dior Overcurl mascara, and this has been in my life also, just like the Stila one, for a decade or more. It's literally been since I was 16, I'd run over to Sephora and pick this one up. So this is literally such a holy grail. I love this one because it does a good job of separating. It does a good job of lengthening. The key with this one is that it has a really nice bended wand here so that you can actually really coat the lashes and do a lift as well. And I have a eyelash curler phobia. I'm still learning it, and it's definitely tough to get it really close to my lid. So I like a mascara that will do the lifting for me. And this will actually do a really, really good job. I wouldn't say it's as good as a curler because a curler is a true like tool that manipulates the lashes, right? But this one is pretty good considering it's just a wand and some mascara. So it does a great job with that. Next is one that you may not expect, but it's definitely a classic, and it's one that's always in my collection, I would say, for the most part. When it comes to mascaras, I don't typically go for this style. This has a wand that is very, very short. Usually I like longer bristled brushes that really coat the lash, but the short bristled ones I haven't had the most luck with. This one though by Chanel, this is the Chanel Volume de Chanel mascara. It's so good. It's definitely a game changer for me, and it made me a believer that you don't have to have a super long bristled wand to achieve what you want. So you can see it's like barely a stub when it comes to the bristles. So you can see here they're really, really, really short. And at first I was like, yeah guys, this is not gonna happen. It actually does a great job. I feel like this is one that won't give you as much intensity when it comes to how black you can get your lashes as the Dior Overcurl one, but this is one that separates, does amplify a little bit, and it does have that nice gentle lengthening, but nothing too crazy. So it's almost like your lashes, but a little bit more showstoppy, like a little bit better. And this one also does a great job with coating the bottom lash as well because it has such short bristles. I love the sleek packaging of this. This is amazing. Ever since this came into my life, it's definitely been popular, and I do tend to pick this up a ton. This is the Volume de Chanel mascara. The last mascara I'm going to talk about is one that I think is limited edition, so it really does do such a good job that I had to talk about it. I don't know. I think when you guys try it too, you're going to really love it, and I think it's on sale right now as well. This is the Marc Jacobs at Lash'd mascara. If you can still find it, this is an amazing one. It did come with a release last year that Marc Jacobs did where it was the Extravagance Iconic Eyeshadow Palette. Then it was this, and there's a couple other products I think, but those are the two that stood out to me. At Lash'd is very interesting because the wand, it doesn't look super impressive at first. Kind of looks almost messy, and you're like really? I don't know if this is gonna make my, lashes look crazy or not, but it actually does a really good job of doing like everything that I want in a mascara. It doesn't transfer, it doesn't flake, but it does do a good job of separating, amplifying, and lengthening, and that's what I want. So this one I would say lifts a tad, but not to the same degree as the Overcurl mascara, just because this wand is straight, so it doesn't have as much of that kind of oomph behind it to lift the lash. This is a fantastic one too, if you can get your hands on it. Definitely check it out. The next category is concealers, and this is definitely a no-brainer when it comes to the three that I've picked. This is one that I'm really hoping sticks around as long as possible, but I do know that the brand is closing. This is the Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector. I decided to include this in the concealing category because it really is my favorite color corrector. I don't use anything else to color correct besides this. And I do like how this one has a really subtle sheen to it, so it does bring light to the area in the most flattering way. I don't have a super dark circle problem at the moment, but I do have some shadowing along my nose and the eye area. It can get a little bit more, I guess, like shadowy looking, like a sort of off blue color, if that makes sense. So that's where I go in with this. I also go in a little bit under the eye, but nothing crazy. This is really beautiful though because it's nice and moisturizing. So I really love this one for sure. I use the shade Light Medium. There's also another shade in this product. You can see the pigment is a beautiful light pinky peach, and it does have that nice sheen. As you can see, it's bouncing off my lights a little bit. I'm really savoring this because it sold out so fast when they announced that they were closing, and I'm hoping that it sticks around for a long time. The next one is actually from Laura Mercier. This is the Flawless Fusion This is the Flawless Fusion Concealer. I almost said Flawless Fusion Confusion Concealer. No. Anyways, this is the Laura Mercier concealer that I love, and this is one that's also almost done. It's starting to get to the bottom of the container here, but this one has a really nice wand. It's a perfect size to get underneath the eye if you need, or to cover acne or redness. It's fantastic. The shade range is also great, so I love that. But this is one that really lasts a long time. There's so many of them that break down, I feel like, over the day, or they start to separate. You can absolutely tell that like something was going on, you were concealing it, and now it's popping through. But this does a great job of actually staying put, so I love this. Now this is one that the shade that I've been using is 2N, but even though it says 2N, like it's not a neutral undertone 100%. It does have a teeny bit of that peachy warmth, but otherwise it's great. So this is my favorite one for sure. I've been using this for the last couple of years on and off, ever since it was released. This is one that I think I just got in the last 6 months or so, but it really beat out so many of my other concealers that I had to put it in the top 3. And this is the Pat Mcgrath Lab Sublime Concealer. The shade that I have is L5. This one has a slight bend to it, which is actually really beneficial. So the Laura Mercier one is good because it's flat but small, so you can still get in there. But this is one that has a curve to it, so it really does make that convenience factor of getting in between the curvature area really easy. It has high coverage to it, but it feels like a medium coverage product because of the weight of it. It's just so lightweight. I just couldn't believe the coverage level, but how light it felt on my skin. This is also one that does a great job of covering dark circles if you would like, or it does a great job of covering redness and acne. So it's a very versatile product. I absolutely love this one too. The next category we're going to talk about is primer, and I decided to do a very interesting mix of primers in this one because these are really my top 3 that I use to prime the skin before I go in with my base. So when I want more of a chill, lightweight kind of day. I'm not going to film that day, let's say, and I still want to look put together, but not something super overdone. I prime with this, which is just a sunscreen. This is the Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen. It is still my favorite. I'm currently testing out the Mineral Screen, which is definitely something that I've been loving so far, but this is one that is just one I've loved forever. So that's why I put this one in the video for favorites, because the other one is just not quite a favorite yet, but it might. Who knows? It might get there. This is a chemical sunscreen from Supergoop, whereas the Mineral Screen I'm testing is a physical one, so that's going to be a game changer. But this is one that has a really cool kind of like, sort of like a dimethicone kind of feel. Like it is quite smoothing, and it does a good job of pore filling, even though it's not supposed to do that. So I don't know, it doesn't claim to pore fill, but for some reason it sort of does that for me. And this one does a good job of just prepping everything, keeping everything nice and smooth for those days that I just want to be kind of low key with my base. When I want to amp it up a little bit, and not quite like full glam, I would say, but a little bit, you know, we're getting there. This is the one that I've been loving. This is the one that's been around in my routine for such a long time, and one that I still come to all the time. It's the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. This one does have a very mild scent. Nothing perfumey though. It's just like shea butter, and maybe that's what I'm smelling, like a shea butter kind of smell, but nothing like floral or perfumey or anything, which I do appreciate. It comes in a tub, and this is one that does a great job of hydrating the skin. It does have a teeny bit of a glow, subtle, nothing crazy. And it does a good job. It just sinks into the skin, makes your skin look super supple and just ready for your foundation. I really do see this in my collection for quite a long time. You really don't need a lot as well, because it does have that nice slip to it. Besides the shea butter component, it also has vitamins A and E, which is why it says it's a vitamin enriched product. This has got to be like probably my 4th jar by now, something like that. It's definitely been in my life for quite a while. Last but not least, I knew I had to pick a glowy primer for sure. It was definitely down to the new Auric product or the Flawless Filter. And the Flawless Filter has been in my life for a way longer than the Auric, and I also tend to use the Flawless Filter a little bit more. So I'm gonna put this one in my top 3. This is the Hollywood Flawless Filter from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the one that I got at the beginning, so it's slightly peachier than I would like. I kind of like mismatched my shade with this. I think I really am about, I think a 2. I'm trying to remember what my shade is, but it's certainly not this warm. This is a product though that, I mean, I can still pull it off because it does tend to sort of camouflage into your skin, so you don't have to worry too much if you're off a little bit. But it has a doe foot applicator, which is perfect for the multi-purpose function this is. You can apply it to the high points of the cheek, you can mix it with your foundation. This is a bestseller from Charlotte Tilbury, and it just makes sense why. It's just so easy to use, and the glow that you get is really beautiful. It does have a teeny bit of that like shimmer powder in it in the ingredient list, but it's not a super shimmer heavy product. It just brings that glow to the skin that doesn't look like a glitter topper or anything like that. It's just so natural looking, and you guys know I love the glow, so I'm obsessed with products like this. This is definitely one that I will have in my collection probably forever, just because it is that good. Next is foundations. Foundations was actually pretty hard for me. There were 2 right off the bat, and then the other one was really hard to place. So I will tell you all of them, but I'm going to tell you my top 3 for sure. I knew I had to settle for number 3 somewhere. The first one is the Lemare Soft Fluid. This just goes without saying, it's a perfect foundation for me. Medium coverage, slight glow, slight radiance to the skin, very like airbrushed. I don't want to say airbrushed too literally because it is makeup sitting on your skin. So it's not like it's like nothing. When you think about foundation that looks super natural, like your skin but better, I always go back to this one. It is a gorgeous glass frosted bottle. It does have a slight perfumey scent, which I do wish it didn't have. But what can you do? It's not terribly potent or anything, but it is still there. It also has an SPF 20, although I still put sunscreen underneath this and over top because I just want to have my protection. But this is a gorgeous one, you guys. I feel like it's been my favorite for so long. My second favorite, which has always been in my life, I actually just restocked this one. This is the Luminous Silk Foundation from Giorgio Armani, and this shade that I have is 5. This one has a little bit more glow than the Lemare, but I do think it does a great job of having that perfect canvas as well. So just like the Lemare, it's medium coverage, but unlike the Lemare, this is a bit of a thinner formulation and it doesn't really have that scent. Yeah, I don't smell anything at all. Like nothing is coming off of it. So if there's fragrance in it, it can't be that potent or that concentrated. But this one too, I think I discovered this one before the Lemare. So it was just like, wow, like it has such a nice glow to the skin and it's buildable and it's just like perfect, you know? I love this one too. This one is definitely top 3. I was sort of stuck between the last place one, either the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder or the Guerlain Essential Natural Glow. Both of those were like neck and neck. So I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, how do I decide this? I decided to go for the Light Wonder just because this one doesn't have like the fragrance potency that the Guerlain does. That one is quite floral smelling, even though I love the Guerlain, but this is one too. So you guys know I have a type, right? The type is medium coverage, glow, buildable, doesn't budge, as little scent smelling as possible. That's really, you know, all I'm asking for. This one too, it doesn't have like that matte finish. None of them do, because I personally don't like a straight up matte. I do like a bit of a glow, a bit of a radiance, a bit of a dewiness. So this one does a great job of just making your skin look like your skin, but better. I do think this one also is a fairly thin formulation. It does have a very easy applicator. It's just like a dropper like this, so you can just squeeze out what you need. But I love this one too. So this was a harder category, but I think I picked my picks perfectly. I feel like the categories are going to be getting harder and harder as we go along because I've just arrived at eyeshadow, and eyeshadow was a hard one. It was very hard. I love so many different palettes and I was like, which are the ones that I use the most? So I would say these are my top 3 right now in my collection, and it's interesting because each of these represent the brands that I think you guys love the most. So one of them is Charlotte Tilbury, one of them is Natasha Denona, and one of them is Pat Mcgrath. So let's get right on into it. The first one is Charlotte Tilbury. I have to pick Fire Rose for this. I just do. It is gone though, which is why I cringe saying that. But out of all of the Charlotte palettes, this is the one that I've been using the most and the one that I'm impressed with the most and the one that I think is amazing. It's definitely my top 3. So if you are lucky enough to be based in the UK, you can still get this. There is some stock on the UK Charlotte Tilbury website, but it's so beautiful. It's definitely a quad I pick up a ton because the shadows are so smooth in this. They have such a shimmer impact, but it's even, it's not too chunky. It just looks so beautiful. The matte is also a very rich, like deep reddy purple, like almost like a cranberry. It's just so stunning altogether. So the user friendliness of this one is great. It's just so pretty. I mean, you can see I've really dipped into those first 3. I just love this for a one and done eyeshadow. Oh, I just love this quad so much, and she makes good eyeshadow for sure, but this one stands out to me anyway. Out of all my Natashas, the one that I use the most, I love Lila, I love Gold, I love Bronze, I also love Glam. I'm very surprised by this one because I thought for sure I was going to have so many warm tone palettes. I tend to really gravitate towards those. But this one I've been using a ton too, so I'm like, no, I have to pick Glam. So Glam is like the cool tone product that executes cool tones perfectly, and I've talked about this so much on my channel, and I know a lot of you guys are a fan of this one too. But the diversity of the shades here, the versatility, you can put so many different looks together. You can do a one and done shadow if you want, but you can add shades together that are so cohesive. The color story here is not confusing. It doesn't have too little, you know, degrees of difference or too much. She can do so many different things with her palettes. Like some of them, like Circo Loco, is quite colorful and kind of all over the place, you know, a little bit harder to get looks together. And then there's some like Bronze that are a little bit too similar at times, you could say, even though it's great. But this is one that's so good, like perfect, like perfectly balanced. The midi price is great. I'm just obsessed with this one. Had to include it in top 3 eyeshadow, that's for sure. The last one I had to pick is from Pat Mcgrath. It is a 10-pan mothership palette, and I don't think you guys are going to be surprised by this one. It is the Divine Rose 1. I love this one because it is the palette that I recommend to people that are brand new to the line. They've saved up money for her big 10-pan motherships, and they're like, which one should I get? This one. Hands down this one. It's the most wearable to me. It doesn't have as many bold colors as some of the other ones do. I just got so excited I was slurring all over the place. You do have the gorgeous Pat Mcgrath kind of elements with the duochrome and the shimmers, but you also have an extremely wearable palette. So this is one for beginners, in my opinion. It's one that anyone can wear and it can look beautiful. The mattes here are super creamy. The shimmers are great. I personally think that out of all of her palettes, even though they're all magnificent in their own way, this is just one that you really can't go wrong. And it feels like it's just for everybody, not just makeup artists, not just people that are super used to the Pat Mcgrath formulation or anything, and not just for people that love bold. Definitely in the top 3. The next category in this top 3 makeup products per category video is the one and done eyeshadows. I am going to be doing a ranking of all of the one and done eyeshadows that I have based on the ones that are really, really good and the ones that aren't so good. So do stay tuned for that. There's quite a few to talk about in that video. So one of them is my gal Victoria Beckham Beauty. I love this brand, and only in the last few months have I become absolutely obsessed with this brand. I just think it's so effortlessly classy. I don't know. So this is Honey. This is a gorgeous one and done shadow. I love it because you can just layer it so beautifully. It doesn't crease. You do have to prime, because I prime basically when it comes to any one and done shadow. I always do that. And I think it's just because I do have a hooded eye with a significant crease. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I tend to prime with everything now. So this looks so pretty on the skin. You can see it's a gold, but very wearable, not too glitzy, not too like deep, you know? And this is a part of the Victoria Beckham Beauty lid lusters. There is one shade in this called Tea Rose that I do want to get. It's like a cool like rose gold pinky color. It's always been sold out, so I got my eye on it. Once it comes back in, I'm gonna get it. The next one and done favorite is actually from Auric. This is Temper. This is the Smoke Reflect like eye combination duo thing. I described that so well, didn't I? Basically, there is a cream product underneath. So you can see right here that it's a rose gold kind of pinky color. There's a cream underneath if you want to use just cream, and then in the lid, there's also a shimmer top coat. When it comes to any one and done shadow though, just make sure you've got the lids on tight, because you don't want these guys to dry out. I personally feel, I mean, they do have a shorter shelf life in my opinion than a powdered product. So Auric is now in the center here in Temper. It is just the cream product. Now I'm gonna put the top coat over top of it so you can see how it transforms. So now it has the top coat on it. So you can see there, it's so, so pretty. Love how creamy this product is. This one also doesn't crease. And I like the fact that you have the option between adding that shimmer topper or not, or leaving it to a nice kind of light metallic rose gold pinky cream product. This is what the shimmer on top looks like, and it has a little mirror there for you as well. These are super, super pretty. The last one and done shadow is actually from Charlotte Tilbury. This is just a cream kind of metallic-y color. This is the shade Oyster Pearl in her line Eyes to Mesmerize. They have a very similar creamy base, just like the Auric ones, which is why I do love the Auric one as well. Like even the Auric Glow Lust, which is their priming product, has a lot of similar ingredients to the Flawless Filter, which is why I think it does a great job of doing a, you know, glowy product on the skin as well. You can see it has a little bit of a metallicness to it, lots of shine, absolutely stunning on the lid. And these two, keep the lid nice and tight for these as well. I do find it's going to be the best way to preserve the one and done shadows so that they don't dry out on you. Next, let's talk about powders. Now there are 2 pressed powders in my top 3, and there's also a loose one. The loose powder I'm going to talk about first because it isn't in my collection at the moment. It's definitely on my list to go pick up at the next available time that I can, but it is the Lemare the Powder, and this is a really beautiful loose powder. Obviously, it's a little bit more pricey because it is the Lemare product, but it has a gorgeous packaging style. It does have a teeny bit of a shimmerness to the powder. I don't think you could pick it up when it's on the skin per se, unless you really overly heavily apply it. But it does add that nice luminosity, which you guys know I'm all about, and I absolutely love how it just sets everything perfectly so nothing moves throughout the day, nothing gathers into lines throughout the day, and it's just beautiful. So This is definitely my favorite loose powder, I would say. I'm just thinking about all the rest in my collection. There's some that are really, really great, but this is one that I love, so I can't wait to repurchase this one. Now, pressed powders were pretty easy as well. One of them is definitely the Gucci powder. I love the light pink lid with this one. The packaging is on point. It is just stunning. I love it. It's also refillable, so you don't have to buy the outer shell every time, which is just genius, so I love that. There's actually a little brush that used to be there, but I think it fell out somewhere because it's not there anymore. But this one is so pretty. You can see there's definitely some wear along the edge here, so I have absolutely been using this to town. I love this one. The last powder, the Airbrush Flawless Powder from Charlotte Tilbury. By far, it's so, so good. This is the shade medium, but I can actually pull off fair a little bit more. So the medium one, I've hit pan, you can see, but the fair one is the perfect shade for me. I can still pull this one off. I just have to be careful not to go super crazy heavy-handed because it does have that warmth to it. I've been loving this because it just looks and feels like nothing. It's slightly mattifying, just like the Gucci one, so it's not super mattifying by any means, but it's just enough to set everything perfectly, to keep everything intact, and it's perfect for prepping the skin for the next layers, which is highlight, blush, and bronzer, for me anyways. Next category is highlighter. So the first one is the MAC Extra Dimension Highlighter in the shade Whisper of Guilt. The Extra Dimension Skin Finish line by MAC is beautiful. I'm going to talk about another product from them that I love as well. Beautiful champagne gold highlight. I have actually used for sure one of them up, and the other one has hit pan as well. So this is one that has been in my collection for quite some time. It just looks beautiful on the skin. Even though it has a shimmer to it, I don't think it brings a ton of focus to like imperfections such as texture or things like that. I do think that it does a teeny bit, but not terrible, not as bad as some other ones. So I love the fact that this one just looks so beautiful. It just looks luminous, perfect champagne quality to it, and it just settles into the skin so beautifully. Next, we have the Dior Air Luminizer Highlight. This is also one that I'm obsessed with. It definitely is creamy and smooth, just like the MAC, but it has a little bit more smoothness to it that just looks so beautiful. So I do have the Dior one right beside. You can see it has a pinkness to it slightly, but still super flattering. So these are both just beautiful. I think the Air Luminizer formulation has got to be one of the creamiest, most easy to apply products as well. The MAC one is still quite beginner friendly, but the Dior one, it has just a little bit more creaminess. Last, we have Cookie from Benefit. This beat out quite a few other ones that I thought were gonna make my top 3, but this is one that is just so beautifully unique, and it's really good quality as well. I don't know, when they came out with Cookie, they came out with it in a limited edition palette first, and I was like, oh man, this better be its own. And sure enough, it was its own. So Cookie is on the far left. You can see it almost has a little bit more of a white goldness to it. It is super blinding. This is one that you can go a little bit lighter handed to get more of a subtle glow, or you can go medium to full for quite a reflective glow, but this is also a beautiful one. This one is just so soft and silky as well that I had to pick my most favorite user-friendly ones, because if I'm kind of like doing my makeup but I'm not super attention to detail and I don't have a ton of time, these are the types of things I pull out because I know they're going to look effortless and I don't have to be super careful. So Cookie is also in the top 3. Let's talk about blushes next, and I was actually very surprised that I did include a cream blush in this countdown. If you asked me a year ago that I was going to get into cream blushes, I would have told you that you were crazy, but I've been absolutely loving them lately. So people can change. Anyways, let's get the one that is the most obvious out of the way, which is the Glow Gasm Beauty Wand from Charlotte Tilbury. This is Peachgasm. I have to say how much I love this one. It was #1 in my ranking cream blushes countdown, and I don't know, this is such a beautiful, glowy, peachy pink product. I I don't know, it just looks so gorgeous. It looks like your skin with that gorgeous glowy flush. So here we have Peachgasm. I'm obsessed. Love, love, love this shade. And this is the cream blush that I decided to include because I just used it so much, like almost non-stop. Just didn't think that I would get on board with cream blushes so easily, but this one has a glowiness to it. It blends so effortlessly. It's nice and smooth on the skin. And you need a couple of layers max for the pigment to really come through, because I was worried that it was going to be like sheer or something, but it's not. It's just so, so pretty. And the applicator is kind of neat because it is like a plushy sponge. So you can actually place it on your cheek without feeling like you're pulling too hard. It's almost like a built-in brush tip thing. This is gorgeous. Definitely in the top 3. Now, speaking of the Extra Dimension line from MAC, I had to include this blush, which might be a surprise to you guys. You can see it is quite used up. It is the shade Fairly Precious. This is a powder blush, and I find the Extra Dimension blushes are super creamy, super glowy, and they just look great, honestly. You can also use them as highlights as well, depending on your skin tone, but I just love this as a blush. Fairly Precious is actually to the left. You can see it's a beautiful light baby pink with a little bit of a gleam to it. So that with the highlight and, you know, your glowy base and stuff, you're just gonna look like this amazing goddess, basically. But if you don't like glow, obviously this might not be for you, but if you love that beautiful shimmer with the sheen, oh, it's great. I would say the packaging is just like average, you know, it's MAC, it's not super luxurious in any way, but it's practical because it's got that see-through window. I can see exactly what shade I am looking at here, and I think I have a couple of these in the Extra Dimension line. They're definitely worth checking out. When I was thinking of blush, I knew I had to include Chanel because I love the Jus Contrast formulation, but I love the old formulation. I did hear that they reformulated them, and oh my goodness, that was not good news. So let me know your thoughts if you've tried the new formulation, if it actually is so much worse or not, but now I'm gonna have to really, really baby this one so it doesn't run out. But this is Jersey. This is in the old formulation. It's beautiful, very easy, everyday pink shade. I feel like this is just like a perfect light beigey pink. If you don't want to look super glam that day, you just want to look natural, and I don't know, it just looks gorgeous. You can see it's on the very left, nice flush to your cheeks, but it doesn't add any shimmer or anything if that's not something that you prefer. It just depends on my mood. I actually really love this one for like an effortless look as well because they just blend so beautifully. So the fact that they've changed the formulation with these is really, really freaking me out. So do let me know your thoughts because I hope you can still get Jersey, and I hope that if it is the new formulation that it's not like terrible. Next, let's talk about bronzers. There's definitely also, I think, 2 surprises in here that you may not predict from me, but I do like surprising you guys every once in a while. So Marc Jacobs Omega bronzer. This is enough bronzer to last your whole life, probably. Unless you solely use this bronzer and you use it every day, eventually you'll hit pan, but because I have quite a few bronzers in my collection, I have still quite a few product left. This is gorgeous on the skin. It's a perfect neutral. It's not red, it's not orange, it just looks gorgeous. The Marc Jacobs bronzers are fantastic. I do love the other one as well, which is Tantric, I believe, but I do prefer this one just a little bit more because it's not as warm. Appeals to beginners as well. So you can see that it's like neutral, maybe even slightly cooler, and it just looks stunning. It's just one that I think you're going to be obsessed with if you do end up splurging and getting this product. I think this one might also be on sale right now. It also has a slight like beachy smell. It almost smells like kind of like coconut sunscreen, you know? It's not super coconutty, but it's just like a sunscreeny kind of smell. So not off-putting by any means, but just an interesting touch. I do love the white compact versus the permanent collection has black. This is 25 grams of product, so definitely a ton, but it's one that I do recommend still. Definitely a great one from Marc Jacobs. Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer. I always say that, bronzer. I have now been talking for quite a little while, and now I'm going to start to not speak properly. Airbrush Bronzer. Okay, guys, maybe it's time to stop. In shade 2. There we go. Shade 1 is actually quite light. I'll show you here the big pan of this one as well. So you can see here how much product you get. It is also a lot, but this is one that is refillable, which is great. So this is one too from Charlotte that is very blendable, it's matte, but it looks effortless on the skin. And when I think about Charlotte, I think that she makes products that are so good for really embracing your natural skin, you know, without looking too made up. It's just like glowy and healthy looking. So I'm going to show you how this one looks next to the Marc Jacobs. So you can see here next to the Marc Jacobs, this one has a little bit more like caramelly, not so much compared to the Marc Jacobs. Has a matte finish, very beautiful on the skin. Nothing too matte where it looks kind of flat, but just has that really nice, gorgeous bronzy color to the skin. The last bronzer in my top 3 is actually the Victoria Beckham Beauty one, which really surprised me too. I have latched on to this one so fast. I think it's great. I love that it has a duo, so you can, there we go. You can add, oh, that's scary. It's sort of like naturally clicks forward a little bit, but it scares me every time I hold it up. This is a perfect duo, so you can add very light wash of a color at the beginning if you want something lighter, and then you can really chisel with that deeper shade. The shade combo that I have here is number 2, and I think it's perfect. I don't think 1 would have worked out. It would have been a little bit too light, but number 3 I probably could have pulled off too with a lighter hand. So here we have the duo here. We have the first shade on the left and then the warmer shade on the right. So you can see that just like the other ones, they all have that similar quality. It's very lightweight, buildable, creamy, has that gorgeous like natural bronze, nothing too reddy undertoned, nothing too orangey undertoned. It just adds that perfect bit of bronze and it just looks absolutely beautiful. As a line, I've been very impressed with the Victoria Beckham line, so I feel like there's going to be more favorites as I discover more items, but this is definitely in the top 3 as well. The next category is lip liner, and actually this is another 2 product category as well. I don't have 3 favorite lip liners because I don't typically wear lip liner. It's just not a step that I take into account a lot of the time. I just feel like I put my lipstick on and I go, and the lip liner is an extra step I'm not always wanting to do, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure that's going to change eventually. When I do wear a lip liner, these are the ones I wear. The first one is Pillow Talk Lip Cheat by Charlotte Tilbury, and the second one is the Lisa Eldridge Enhance and Define Lip Pencil in the shade Muse. So these are the 2 that I love because they're creamy and they give you some slip. That's probably why with a lip liner, I haven't been the most like excited to wear them because they are fairly stiff, but these are gorgeously creamy, both of them. I think Lisa Eldridge does a great job of making creamy lip liners, and same with Charlotte. So here we have both of them swatched side by side. You can see they're nearly identical. The Charlotte is on the left and Lisa Eldridge on the right. When it comes to creaminess, Lisa Eldridge is actually a little bit more. So both of them have a creamy component, but the Lisa one is definitely more creamy than Charlotte. Both of them you can sharpen really easily. Both of them last a long time on the lips. They also don't budge, which I do appreciate. So when it comes to applying them, I do think the Lisa one has a bit more slip and a bit more creaminess, but the Charlotte one is right underneath her tail. So I do think that both of these are great lip liner options. Lipstick, you guys, was so hard to pick. Oh my goodness. Was right up there with eyeshadow. I felt like it was so hard to pick 3 lipsticks. But I think I've decided. So here is one that I didn't think I would put in my top 3, but I've just been obsessed with it, and that is the Gucci Satin Lipstick. I love this. This is Blaze of Noon. It is beautiful. I love the packaging of this. It's a gorgeous gold. I love the creamy satin finish of this one. I love that it just looks beautiful. It's like a pinky nude. It's not super nude though, where it looks like you're gonna wash out your lips or anything. It's just so perfect. So you can see there that this is Blaze of Noon. I wear this a ton in my videos. I also feel like for a satin creamy lipstick, it really lasts quite a while. So this is the first one. The next lipstick is Charlotte Tilbury's Matte Revolution in Very Victoria. I almost picked Pillow Talk for this, but Very Victoria to me is just slightly more well-loved. even though Pillow Talk is right up there. So this is the gorgeous Very Victoria. So Very Victoria is right beside. You can see it has that gorgeous taupiness. So, so pretty. I do think the Gucci one is slightly more opaque, but both of them are quite buildable. This last pick also may surprise you. This is the Tarte Color Splash lipstick in the shade Rum Punch. Love this one as well. This is actually one that I've purchased twice over. And this is one that is a surprise because it's not like a super high-end luxury product, and typically that's what I gravitate towards since that's what I review and that's the products that I'm most familiar with. But Tarte I still think is mid-range to high-end, and it's one that I don't know if it's still available at Sephora. The opacity of this, the creaminess of this, it just instantly gets full pigmentation very, very quickly. And it's very, very similar to Very Victoria. It's on the left there, but it has a slight more pinkiness to it. So you can see I do have a type, that's for sure. Pinky nudes are my favorite. But you can see that the opacity there, that's 2 swipes of the Tarte. Even that has more pigment payoff after 2 swipes than the Charlotte one. So I do think you need a little bit more to get that full opacity, whereas the Tarte one, you can get that very, very quickly. Lip gloss is the next category. This is also one that wasn't that hard for me. There's definitely a few formulations where I was like, yes, 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 like right away. So first one is the Tower 28 lip glosses. These were a very, very nice surprise as well. I only hauled these within the last year, and they're very juicy on the lips. They're very moisturizing. They have a really fun pop of color, but nothing too crazy intense. It's super, super beautiful. You can see it has quite a bit of gloss to it, like a nice shine. So it makes your lips look really nice and healthy, slightly plumped, but not like, it's not a plumping product, but it just adds a little bit of light to the lips, which in my opinion makes them look a little bit bigger. Next is the Bobbi Brown Crushed Lip Glosses. This one is a tad more sheer than the Tower 28 one, but it's also super stunning. I don't feel like it provides as much of a shine as the Tower 28, so you can see the Bobbi Browns on the left, and even though it glistens, it's not as glistening as the Tower ones, but I just think those colors are super gorgeous in the Bobbi Brown line, and because they have that nice like oil infusedness to them, they do have a really nice moisturizing element to them as well. The last lip gloss formulation is the Lust lip gloss from Pat Mcgrath. This is also one that is fantastic. In my opinion, it offers a little bit more coverage, I would say, than the other two, but just barely. So not like by a long shot or anything. So she has some glosses that have shimmer. She has ones that don't have shimmer. So it really does appeal to whoever you want, basically. So we do have Prima Donna by Pat Mcgrath on the far left. This also has a beautiful shine to it. It's not sticky by any means, like fully where it feels like your lips are like, you know, having that slip to them, but it's a little bit of a stiffer formulation than the other two. That being said, splitting hairs here, so just like a tad different, but love how it makes my lips look nice and juicy like always. This one also has fairly good longevity considering it's a gloss. None of these though are mask proof by any means, so if you are still wearing a mask where you are, you know, maybe apply these after you take your mask off, but these are super, super pretty. And for lip glosses, these do a great job of lasting quite a long time. The last category is setting spray, and this was fairly easy for me too, that's for sure. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. This is definitely one of my favorites. It does a great job of setting everything and providing a little bit of a glow too. So if you are a glowy person, you can add this. Now, I've always had questions of, do you glow with your primer? Do you glow with your foundation? Do you glow with your setting spray? And it just depends on how much of a degree of glow you want, really. As you add this, like over each other, it will eventually add up and you could look quite bright. So just kind of go light-handed with this setting spray because you just need one like even layer and that's it. You don't need a ton of it, and because it's so versatile that way, I personally find it doesn't amplify my glow to the point where I'm looking like too much. I have noticed that it does add some longevity to my foundation, so if I don't set, I do find that it tends to sort of fade away a little bit faster. Nothing crazy, but enough to notice. The next one is a classic. It's from MAC. It is the Fix Plus. This is the one that came in the Alana Davison MAC collaboration box, so I just put this one out to show you guys, but They also have like a plain one. You don't have to have a heavily scented version. There's like a lavender, a coconut, and the plain, I think. There might be one more, but I actually prefer the plain one. So I'll definitely use this one up because I have it, but the plain one is my absolute favorite. It's the first setting spray I fell in love with, so it really does a good job also of setting everything well. It doesn't add any glow or anything, but it hydrates the skin, so it does make you look like, you know, you've added a little bit of moisture and hydration back in, so it does look like your skin is the best it can look. Last, we have the Glow Recipe Watermelon Fine Mist Setting Spray. I love this one. I am on my second bottle of this, and this one has a more targeted nozzle compared to the other two. So you can really target if you just want your cheeks to be, you know, set with the glow, or just your forehead. This is one that I do find adds a little bit more glow than the Charlotte, but not by much, just a little bit more. And this one also hydrates the skin beautifully, offers a nice radiance, and definitely sets the makeup so that it lasts longer than it would without setting spray. I cannot wait to see what Mel has in her top 3 makeup products for every category. Do check her channel out and her video after this. Subscribe to her, give her some love. She is amazing and so deserving of that. And until my next one, guys, take care and stay safe. Bye, guys.